students and the teacher together can negotiate the outcomes of the week's work. In practice, depending on the independence of the students, the independent mind of the students, the teacher will usually give the topic. But in ideal learner autonomy or an ideal situation, that would be negotiated. Every student has a learner portfolio, and we found that some students are quite shy. They don't really want to put themselves forward, so we decided that we'd have a weekly student tutorial where the teacher has an opportunity to speak to each student individually and to see how they're going. We use core material. We do have a core textbook, but every teacher is expected to use supplementary material as well. The weekly learning objectives are posted in every classroom. Okay? And this stuff here, the outcomes, the tutorial, the use of material, the learner portfolio, tends towards the subjective. You know, the subjective? Whereas we also have to test the outcomes to see have the students really learned something rather than they think they've learned something. So we do have weekly assessment and feedback also. So I said the outcomes are posted in the classrooms, which means that the students are actively engaged in the learning process. So what do I mean by that? Well, it brings the outcomes into sharp focus. The students are more motivated. So we actually see these are the outcomes, so the students can watch it and be aware of it all the time. The weekly progress test. Weekly outcomes are introduced by the teacher at the beginning of each week, and they're referred to on an ongoing basis each week. So this is our SWAN learner autonomy model. It relies on student input, collaborating and mentoring. The outcomes are posted every week, encouraging student reflection, and we have weekly assessment to make sure that it's not just subjectively that they're doing well. So what are the advantages of topic-based syllabus? Well, it produces greater student focus and interaction. It makes the English language usage more natural, more functional. The whole idea is that the linguistic points are learned spontaneously, innocently and naturally. Speaking skills are a priority. I know that when they're in Spain or they're in Italy or they're in Russia or they're in France, well then grammar is very important. But, I mean, it's still important, but speaking skills are a priority. And it's very easy when I walk into a classroom in Russia and I see anybody been to Ireland or England before, and a hand goes up, and you can be absolutely sure that that student who's travelled to an English-speaking country has much more confidence in using the language. It might be, in fact, that the linguistic skills of the student that's talking to me are far less than the linguistic skills of a student who's not talking to me, but it just builds that confidence. And after all, the language usage depends on confidence. We also pay a lot of attention to vocabulary expansion, which happens innocently and naturally and spontaneously. Weekly one-to-one tutorials. We have great resources. Every classroom has an interactive whiteboard, television. Weekly assessment. Also, we pay special attention to a cultural theme each week. Okay? Now, if you have an exam class, it produces a certain difficulty. Because an exam class, I just want to go through this because I've often had a question saying, but I have an exam class, things are not as easy for me. So, because it doesn't only focus on learning a language, but also on exam techniques and strategies. So you have to help the students to pass the exam, which is obvious. You have to do that. So there's a heavy exam questions are often more exam orientated than real life orientated. So we recognise this. The heavy emphasis on questions, techniques, grammar, lexis, syntax and skills related to the subject matter. That has to be part of the learning outcomes to a greater extent than it does in just a pure English class. So we have when students come for long periods of time to us, we start them off in a general English class, and then generally they move into an IELTS class, because many of them will want to go to university in Ireland afterwards.
Michael, how often do they take exams?
So, say again?
How often do they take exams? Do they need to take them just to move from one year to another, or just during the year?
That's very good. We've a rolling curriculum, so we don't have classes starting in September and ending in June. Okay, so it's rolling.
It's not limited.
It's rolling. It doesn't. It's not limited. No. So the topic-based syllabi has to combine elements of exam practice and skills, because the frequent criticism of the IELTS exam is that the teachers are forced to teach the exam rather than the language. So we just have to deal with that. Do you know what I mean? But it's a valid criticism of the topic-based syllabus that when you have an exam class, you have to pay more attention to the exam.
But if they fail, what happens?
What do you mean if they fail?
Yes.
Well, they don't move up a level. No, but they don't move up a level. Like, we try to get the students to move from one level to the other. So a lot of that has to be based on actual exam, because some student will say, I want to move to the other level. Why? Because their friend or their boyfriend or their girlfriend is in the next level. They have to perform objectively well to move to the next level. And it means that it's objective because we can show them the test. Sometimes, like for example, some countries, I don't want to mention the country, but they think I'm a man, I should be doing better than my girlfriend. The girlfriend's doing much better than they are, you know, that kind of way. So we have to be show them. So in IELTS we have entry, which is 3 to 4.5. We don't allow people into IELTS until they've got about that level, okay? Then launch is 4.5 to 5.5, and target is then 5.5 plus. The target level is designed for students who want to go to university. Many of them go to the College of Surgeons. In our school, they go to the College of Surgeons afterwards. Okay, so that's basically what our general philosophy of teaching is about. And we say, well, why study IELTS at Swan? We have a dedicated Swan exam coordinator. We've extra afternoon production skills, regular one-to-one sessions with the teachers, constant IELTS exam practice. Obviously, practice makes perfect. Use of the best technology. We have like a Facebook between the students and the teachers. We call it Modo. We've highly qualified, motivated IELTS teachers. Frequent mock exams. Well, we've already said that. And generally, we get very, very good IELTS scores in the examinations. Now, I want to look at. Can you put on the mini-stay one? So how it relates to mini-stay. Okay, so this is this is how it works when we teach mini-stay. What does mini-stay mean? Well, we're talking to the teachers actually. Nastia actually stopped me and said, "I'm so explain mini-stay," and she explained it very well. What does mini-stay mean? Mini-stay means that students come with their teachers for 1 week or 2 weeks during the academic year. So they come from September to June. Normally they either come in October, November, or February, March, April, May. They're the times they come, okay? So we want to say, well, you've already heard me talking about the topic-based syllabus as it relates to adult students. Now we're going to see, well, how do we apply that to junior students whilst retaining the whole idea of learner autonomy? At the beginning of each mini-stay, students negotiate topics with the teachers. We normally give them, excuse me, a menu. You might see a menu in a moment. And the students choose. Okay? But normally the teacher will pick a topic for the first day, just to show them what they're doing. You know, show them how it works. The students set 2 to 3 goals, weekly goals, and they put that into the learner portfolio. The student portfolio is there to record student progress, and every Friday the students present a topic. Normally they break into small groups, and on Friday they have to present their topic. So obviously that builds a